Well, hey there, and good morning. I am Arthur Morris, Burgess Art, and one thing's for sure, I can help you learn to make better bird photographs. Before we get started, make sure you take a peek at the blog and check out the new flight guide I did with Arash Hazegi. The title says it all. Think about joining me in Homer, Alaska next February. That could be you, yes sirree. I'll be announcing the San Diego date soon. Look at that. Give me a break. And I'm going to spend 2 months at Sebastian Inlet. I have room at a wonderful Airbnb with lessons and the whole bit. So get in touch, message me, drop me an email. I'll put it in the link below. And I hope to see you out there. And at Sebastian, this is waiting right around the corner for you. So I was born in Brooklyn, lived in Brooklyn till I was, my parents moved away, 80-something, then moved to Queens, started photographing birds in 83, moved to Florida in 99, and never knew about Nickerson Beach. So it wasn't until I was a Floridian that I started going regularly. The first few images are old stuff with Canon, American oyster catcher with the surf clam. This was with the 800 and the 1.4 teleconverter. Lord help us, that was long ago. I think I mentioned I was an explorer of light for 19 years, used Canon gear for 33 or 34 years. A 1/15 of a second pleasing flock blur with the Canon 500 f4 on a tripod, and a sort of nice Japanese painting arrangement of a skimmer chick and an adult out of focus behind the vegetation, and a beautiful foggy sunrise. I remember my friend Tom Pfeiffer was there. And you can always look for stuff back into the sun if you're willing to get your feet wet in the early morning. So I do wear my booties in the mornings. And I think this is the last Canon picture. Common tern coming in with fish for the chicks. And I believe this one is Nikon. Nikon for sure. That's the 600 and the D850. Black skimmer and a black skimmer chick. Somewhat overprocessed, a little too much sharpening, too crunchy. I wasn't as smart then as I am now. And I think the last Nikon one, Common Tern's Courtship. Black skimmer just killed a skimmer chick, actually tried to feed it to its own chick. So there's a huge black skimmer colony, actually 2 colonies, the east and the west, and tons of great opportunities. And young common tern, grown up. The show is pretty much in chronological order, so you'll see each year as things develop. A skimmer chick, probably early August. Skimmer chick running. Common tern, white sky, mid-air battle over the colony, and the skimmers are forever chasing each other around, especially on warm summer afternoons with a west wind. On crappy days, we'll check out the puddle by the parking lot and look to do some blurs. Common tern grabbing a sand crab, a mole crab out of the surf. And some good flight opportunities with common tern. Tight shot of an adult American oyster catcher. And once in a while, an osprey happens by. This is a baby. Some years in August, we get these big puddles. This was August 27th of I don't know what year. And there was a big puddle. And the next day, it got even bigger. There was a huge storm. And there was tons of action. Here, a baby skimmer skimming with a bunch of oyster catchers in the background, a white rum sandpiper jumping after the bath, a western sandpiper, a juvenile, bathing, and a pectoral sandpiper, juvenile. So when you get those puddles, life can be good. In mid to late August, there's lots of predation. This is a young blackback gull whacking on a fledged skimmer. Might even be older than a baby. And the adult skimmers don't like it when they lose their chicks. Couldn't resist this one, pretty graphic. Skimmer jumping up after its bath. Here's the bath. Here's the jump. I think I got those pictures reversed. And a backlit baby skimmer. Backlit adult skimmer calling. And an afternoon shot of an adult skimmer feeding a needlefish to a chick, decided it wasn't its chick, and the adult took off and pulled the chick into the air. My friend Anka Froelich, you've probably seen the great shots she got. I was at 840, she was at 600 alone. Always looking for backlit opportunities, especially when the wind is from the wrong way. Common tern fledgling. Another afternoon shot on the skimmer hill. And a skimmer with a spearing, Atlantic silversides. We've seen a few of them already. And the oyster catchers start nesting as early as March, and there's still some on eggs, sometimes in early August. This one killed me, a beautiful dorsal view of a young osprey, and its head is turned out to sea. Bummer. Beautiful breeding plumage, lesser blackback gull, used to be real rare, but we see them at Nickerson. A juvenile piping, no, actually, I'm not even sure. I think the bird on the left has got to be an adult piping plover, faded and molting, arguing with an adult semi-palmated sandpiper. And that's definitely a juvenile, and I think that's the same bird, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. Yeah, the face looks, this is definitely a worn juvenile. Piping plover chowing down on a worm. And maybe my best ever afternoon fight shot, mid-air battle. And knowing the behavior of the birds and watching the people on the beach, there was a researcher coming up in a beach buggy. And I knew the birds were going to flush right at me because of the wind. Nice slow shutter speed. Baby common tern landing. More predation. Sanderlings witness to the execution. I love sitting to do flight, to move the background farther from the bird. This one with the 400-2.8 Sony. And a baby skimmer with a sea worm that its dad just brought it. And the next day, possibly the same bird, the same family, this one getting fed a pregnant mole crab. The orange stuff is the roe, the eggs. More nest, this one earlier in the season, getting down low using the foot pod technique, and we'll be doing a video on that pretty soon. Beautiful soft light skimmer with a silversides. Spearing is the colloquial name. Atlantic silversides is the species. Used to use them for bait for snapper bluefish when I was 13. And not sure of the fish, but a beautiful shot of an incoming black skimmer with the bait fish and just including a strip of beach grasses below. American oyster catcher flight. This was in mid-June a couple of years ago. We witnessed this common tern attack a chick for wandering too close to its nest and then eventually come back and kill it. Little happier times, mid-June also. Common tern chicks getting fed a big sand eel. The red light district, especially when you have cold temperatures, a little fog, and the wind in the wrong direction in the morning. Adult skimmer, nice low perspective. Fledgling skimmer, looks like he could fly. And this pathetic thing got washed out into the surf. Here he was just playing around, then a wave caught him. I ran in with my lens and grabbed him because he was struggling and dropped him off at the colony. And again, the adult terns and skimmers they're not disciplining their own chicks. They are beating up on the chicks that wander near their chicks. They don't want them stealing the fish. This with the Sony 300 and the 1.4. Calling, nice clean shot. Common tern landed right in front of me with the big silver sides. And the great blackback gull is the big-time predator. So this one, sort of ashes to ashes, dust to dust, everybody's going to meet their fate. Begging skimmer chick. And advice I give often is, if action happens, press the shutter button. This is a flight shot made only at a 500th of a second. There's no reason for the eyes to be sharp, but they are, and we have a beautiful blur on the wingtips. Getting low, this was actually in the west colony on a cloudy day. Same deal. Calling adult with a Gaussian blur on the beach vegetation in the lower left. And crazy that you can find oyster catcher nests from March through August. Here a 3-egg clutch. An adult on 2 chicks. Half of a midair battle. A backlit execution. Boy, I ran to get this one. Skimmer chick bites the dust. And a little bit of students' work. Pat Fishburne came to my home with her 300 and the both teleconverters to learn Sony at about age 84. Made some great pictures. You could find it in the blog. Ospreys and whistling ducks in flight. She joined me again at Nickerson Beach 2 years ago. She made this one with her 70-200. This one, 70-200 and the 2X, I believe. The 300 and the 1.4. And a flight shot. And we will teach you to get the right exposure, even on white sky days, just like we did for Pat. Judy Stepanowski came same year with her Canon 100-400, had no clue. We had to set up her camera. It took an hour. I had to call Dan Cadillo, and we got her all set, and she went out the first afternoon and started making great pictures. This was at the East Colony Rope. Probably the best picture she's ever taken. And this one's pretty good too. Common tern chick getting fed. Good work, Judy. Longtime friend Monty Brown. Traveled with me all over the world. Been to Homer, pretty sure the Galapagos. Switched him from Canon to Sony. Best shot I've ever seen of a fledgling common tern, fledged and flying baby common tern landing. And an adult doing the wacky posture. And these two are by longtime client Jerry George. She came to Bosque about 1,500 years ago. Got her to switch to Sony from Canon. And this one, amazing. We were sitting there on a cloudy afternoon, and I teach everybody, try to learn the lesson myself. When unexpected action happens, just shoot. Don't try to change the shutter speed or anything. So here she was set up for the skimmers on the ground, 1/1600th of a second, and nailed this osprey looking down at us. I got nothing. Cloudy morning, young oyster catcher on the edge of the berm going down after a bath. I love cloudy days. 300 in the 1.4. And 4 perfect head angles, 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Tight feeding shot, American oyster catcher in the early morning. Nice image design here, don't know the lens. And unfortunately, I was standing for this when we were doing flight, but you don't see, this is the only afternoon I've ever seen the tern chicks getting fed seahorses. Afternoon flight on the skimmer, and he's begging from the adult. Early morning with a west wind in morning is bad for regular flight photography, but good for silhouettes. And an evening blur, I'm not even sure if this is mine or Pat's. This one's mine, early morning light. Skimmer flight, the chicks are learning to fly. Beautiful early morning common tern. This one surely in August. And a baby oyster catcher. This is like ISO 12,800 on a cloudy day for flight. And on my recent visit, I think this is this spring, in June, I went up to build. No, it's not. It's from years ago. Sorry. I'm very proud of this shot because I saw this little plant and I looked at it for a week and it was always sunny. So when we had a cloudy day, I went back to the car, grabbed the 70-200 for close focus, walked back and made this picture of one of the beach plants. Pre-dawn, aperture priority, 6/40th of a second. A fledged skimmer begging for its life. The blackback gull did not care. Early morning blurs. More predation. The great blackbacks are terrors. Afternoon flight with the 300. A little bit of a salad. Skimming as the sun almost always goes behind a cloud at about 7 o'clock in the summer. And I think you might have seen this one twice. Apologies, 20th of a second. Beautiful oyster catcher up on a rise, a little shorter sun angle, but it works. True story, 5 photographers standing at dawn on a cloudy morning, and 10 feet away from us, a great blackback gull, a young one, dives in the water and comes out with a baby sand shark. 30th of a second blur. And one of the nice things I like about shutter priority is if the bird stays still for a second, even at a 30th and certainly at a 60th, you can get something sharp. Another one of the big puddle images in a different year, bathing skimmer. A group on the beach. And one of the great afternoons, Izzy Flum of B&H had taken myself and my group out to dinner. There was a big thunderstorm. We hung out at the Airbnb and then we went out and we had an amazing evening at Nickerson Beach. This is from my spring visit at Build. Went up to New York City a week early. Baby oyster catcher, not a little one, near fledging, eating a mussel. And I put in the blog the guy who sent me this picture heading out into the fog. I love the 400 to 800. I got a spare battery in my pocket. A 960 gigabyte Delkin card in my camera, and I don't need anything else. No tripod. And even on a foggy day in low light, you can do some great stuff. Starting to get bright later on at the East Colony Rope. More of the same. Then the fog came back with a vengeance. Still enough light to shoot flight. An interloper bird. This guy was courting, the guy in the middle was courting his girlfriend, and this guy wanted a piece of the action. And then the sun eventually came out, and I was rewarded. And I mentioned Sebastian Inlet. If you want to learn, I can teach you. God bless, make some great pictures, love you, and see you out there.